I was standing in the kitchen with my parents and I had just confirmed I was pregnant. I was 16. I was 16, pregnant. I was scared. I was frightened. I was scared of my parents' anger and I did not know what was going to happen to me. I just wished the floor would open up and swallow me. Many things were said to me that day, but it was what my father said is what I bought the most. And it is subconsciously it played out in every aspect of my life for a very long time. My father said to me, "No decent man will ever want you. Nobody wants used goods." In those days, we were called unmarried mothers. Today, it's known as teen pregnancy. In those days, it was customary for girls to be sent away where they could live their life in secret while waiting for the birth of their baby and have them adopted out. And then you're expected to return back home and resume your normal life. So when I was 5 months pregnant, I went to a residential home for unmarried mothers to await the birth of my baby. I was sent interstate so I could continue to have my baby in secret and nobody would know. And I could come back home and resume my life. During my time at the residential home, it was when I started to realise that I was not a naughty little girl. That yes, I had made a mistake and I got caught out. But it didn't mean I belonged in the gutter. It didn't mean I was a girl with loose morals. And it didn't mean I was a girl that came from a poor family background. I also started to realise I had choices. And whilst the decision to have my baby adopted had been made for me, when I was asked by the social worker at the time what I wanted, I simply repeated that message. And look, to be quite honest, I would not have been able to have made a decision of my own. So whilst waiting for my baby to be born, during this time, there were other women, there were other girls in the same situation as me, and we ranged from our ages from 13 to 30. When my baby was born and they placed her in the crib while they attended to me, I could hear her crying. And I kept thinking, isn't somebody going to give my baby a hug? Isn't someone going to comfort her? And something triggered. I found myself saying, I'm keeping my baby. Now that did create a little bit of chaos, because one thing, people didn't know what to say, or what to say to me, or what to do in that situation. They gave me overnight to think about it. And when I went and saw my baby and was able to hold her for the first time, I said once again, I'm keeping my baby. The nurses, the social worker, the matron, and the sisters of the residential home where I was staying all tried to talk me out of it. They told me I would never be able to provide for my baby the same way a married couple can. I would never be able to financially support her or give her the love as a married couple can. I was told we'd be facing a lifetime of poverty and disadvantage, and I would be ostracised by society. Regardless of all this, I held firmly to my decision. I'm keeping my baby and I'm going to give her the best life I can. Fast forward 20 years. And by this stage I had 3 children, 2 who had left home. At this stage I was in a toxic relationship, one of many. As I was pursuing this perfect image I had of a married couple who could provide financial support and raise their children, become well-adjusted, balanced human beings contributing to society. I was depressed. I was angry. I was broke. I had one child still to support. At this stage, I joined an organisation called Mary Kay Cosmetics. The values of Mary Kay Cosmetics provided women with an open-ended opportunity for financial and personal success. And they were the values that aligned with me. Initially, I joined Mary Kay so I could have enough money to support my daughter whilst she finished school. What actually happened is I flourished. I gained confidence and I started liking the person I was becoming. In Mary Kay Cosmetics, I was surrounded by people who showed me the way, who believed in me. I spent my first 6 months in Mary Kay Cosmetics crying. I attended every workshop and every seminar. And in these workshops and seminars were women just like me, sharing their life stories and how they had changed their lives to become successful. And I was crying because I too wanted this. I wanted to have a better life. I wanted a life where I was independently financial, where I could provide for myself and I could provide for my children and give my children the best opportunity I could give them. But I kept watching and I kept listening and I just kept thinking, these women are just like me. If they can make the changes, if they can change their life and have success, I can too. And I held on to this belief. And with the help of the company, with the help of the other women in the company who had been successful, I learnt how to do this. I learnt how to dream big. I learnt how to achieve goals. And I learnt the thing that fired me was that I enjoyed helping others to be successful. I went on in Mary Kay Cosmetics. I left that toxic relationship. I moved to a new town. I grew a solid customer base. I built a team of 26 consultants and I achieved my dream of becoming a sales director. Life was good. And then over a course of time, I became unwell. And I struggled for about 12 months trying to keep my business going. And this time I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. And I was in denial for a little while. I kept pushing through and kept pushing through until the day came when I was on the phone to speak to a team member, crying because I no longer had the energy to sit in the chair and hold the phone to my ear and have a conversation. I then realised, firstly, I needed to accept the fact I was unwell and that I was no longer able to give my team members and my customers my best. I needed to put my health a priority. So I made the decision to step back from Mary Kay Cosmetics. I spent the first 6 months nurturing myself. There was no way this illness was going to stop me. I hadn't come this far to be held back by being unwell. So I experimented. I tried to find things that I could do that helped to build me back up and to give me confidence. And prior to my becoming unwell, I was quite fit and active. I ran, I swam, and just for fun, I'd ride a bike. To my delight, I found I could still swim. I couldn't swim the kilometres I'd been doing previously. So I just started slowly but surely building up the distance and building up my endurance until I was swimming almost daily a kilometre. I then went back to the gym and I focused on resistance training. But all through this, I had my eye firmly on the treadmill, knowing one day I would run. And I did. I built up my energy. I was eating a lot of healthy food, a lot of fresh, clean food. and I was just determined to overcome this. It was a 2 to 3 year battle, but I did eventually recover. And in this time, I ran my very first half marathon. And this began a 10-year love with running half marathons. In spite of all this, there was something still missing. Have you ever had that feeling when it's just a wishy-washy feeling? It's almost like something in the distance, and you can't quite put a handle on it. You can't quite bring it all together. But I knew there was more. I knew there was bigger. I didn't know what it was, but I knew there was more to be had. And where I was living at this time, it wasn't the place for me. I had outgrown the town I was in. I wanted more than this town could possibly give me, and the opportunities I wanted were not there. So I made the decision to move, and I moved from Tasmania to Sydney, and I never looked back. 3 weeks after arriving in Sydney, I was working. And I was working as an office administrator in the local vocational education and training organisation. Within 12 months of working there, I started teaching for this organisation, and I was teaching business administration because that's what I know very well, and that's what I was doing. And once again, I found the career I was looking for. I loved working with my students. I was helping them to be successful in their chosen fields, and I threw myself wholeheartedly into the role as a teacher. And I believed I'd found what I'd been looking for. But once again, life had a different plan. And with changes in government policy, the vocational educational and training sector was opened up to private enterprise. So they too were getting the market share of funding. Like many others, I found myself no longer with a job. Now, I was a little angry, I was a little disappointed, but I couldn't sit in that. I needed to change quickly because I still needed to support myself. So I made the decision to go back into industry, and I started working with an organisation as an office manager. Let me tell you, I slammed into that glass ceiling so hard it knocked the wind out of me. But you know what? It was the best thing, because it was the impetus for me to follow through on a dream. So throughout all of this time, I had wanted to go back into business. I wanted to have my own business, but I never could work out what that was. So through a 2-year period in the lead up to going back into industry, I had kept a list where I had written down every business idea I thought of, or every business suggestion that was made to me. I just kept a list. So when I made the decision to leave the organisation where I'd hit the ceiling so hard I had a massive headache, I started to really explore more seriously about my own business. With this, Office Society was built. And Office Society is a business where I help business owners to become laser focused on growth and not on admin. I help them become organised so they can handle the inevitable growth they expect, and they can focus on generating more profit and have some time to enjoy what it is they're creating and enjoying life. Now, the business I started is not the business I now have, and it will not stay the same. Even now, it is evolving. As business owners and entrepreneurs, we need to evolve along with our businesses. As customers and clients' expectations change, as technology changes, as the way of doing business changes, we need to take risks. We need to be able to recognise hidden opportunities in the marketplace. But overall, we need to believe in our own success. Recently, I was asked, what has been the most defining time in my life to date? Undoubtedly, it's rewriting 16-year-old Kim's story. I love that 16-year-old girl. I love her tenacity. I love her strength. And I love her grit. Without her, I wouldn't be who I am now and who I become tomorrow.
Tell us what you think about this video, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.